Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are in our 12th Portrait of a Nevada Learner series of pedagogy change. And today we're going to be talking about incorporating the 4 C's into lesson planning. Now, I can't imagine that there's too many of you out there that don't know what the 4 C's are because they've been around for a good long time. But today we're going to really talk about how those 4 C's incorporate into the Portrait of a Nevada Learner. And I know that there's a lot of you out there that have been with me for all 12, and some of you that are just joining us for the first time. So as you're coming in, please know that we had an inquiring minds question that says, what makes you happy? Go ahead and throw that up into the chat. What are some things that make you happy? Joanna's saying, my grandbabies, love it. My name is Kim Loomis. I used to be the director for online and blended learning down in Southern Nevada, but I got to retire, and they tell me when you retire after 30 years in education, do something that you love. And those of you that have been with me, you know that I absolutely love this. Online and blended learning are my favorites. I love helping teachers create actively engaging learning environments so that students can take the ownership of their own learning. And tonight we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how to engage students so they're can take ownership of their learning using the 4 C's. I did write a book. It's called Think Outside the Box, the CIA Blended, and we'll get to that briefly today. But, I was a high school math teacher for 10 years. I did teacher training with the RPDP for a short stint. I was a virtual school administrator, high school program manager, finished up in curriculum and instruction. And as I said, I was the director for online and blended learning, doing the things that I love, helping people create actively engaging learning environments. And I love reading about some of the stuff that you guys have been doing in the Canvas courses. Thank you for doing the classroom implementations and allowing me the opportunity to see what's going on in your classrooms. So today, we're going to start with our welcome. Remember our welcome question. If you're coming in late, our welcome question today was, what makes you happy? So you can go ahead and throw that up into chat. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Portrait of a Nevada Learner, really spend some time talking about DOK levels and rigor, and really how do we balance blended learning and making sure that we're getting to a good deep rigor level using our DOK levels before we head into the 4 C's, as well as the tools and strategies we can use in those 4 C's. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have an extended Canvas workshop. Know that a Canvas workshop is like a magazine. Highly suggest, even if you're not going to do the classroom implementation, take some time to peruse the Canvas extended course. Lots of resources in there for you to enjoy. All right. Now that I've got all these grandbabies and families and everything that helps you reading and relaxing to be happy, I got another one for you in chat. Last time we were together, we talked about our favorite E word, got some eggplants. Today, I want you to talk about your favorite C word. Today, we're talking about the 4 C's, but tell me, what is your favorite C word? Coffee. I knew that one would come up. Woo, cruise, cheese. Love it, love it. Care, good one. Challenge, chocolate, yes. Candy, cats. Look at these are great C words, great C words. As we talk about tonight, we're going to talk about the 4 C's of instructional learning. So you got the creativity, the critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. But there's a lot of great C words like chips in California. I'm seeing over here, over in our chat. Thank you for sharing. All right, so let's talk about there is actually a C word, if you guys know. Does anybody know what it is in our portrait? And it's very close to one of the 4 C's. So let's talk about that. So the Portrait of a Nevada Learner, we've been working on it for over 2 years. It was actually finalized in May of 2023. If you think about that, that wasn't even 12 months ago. So the final portrait, we took a whole year to develop it and get some insight from teachers and students and the community and business. And then we finalized the document in May of 2023. And in that document, what we tried to do is bring together not only the standards, because we already know that we have academic standards that we're attuned to, but we want to bring in the skills that students need. I don't know. I'm reading this book right now. It's totally crazy. It's called Asking Why. And one of the things I'm really getting out of this book is that businesses want these durable, or what we call soft skills, or now they're calling them professional skills: resilience, digital literacy, communication, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, time management, reasoning, flexibility, leadership. They really want those. So we have to change in our classroom, not only change the math, science, and social studies, because we're not saying don't change the standards. We're just saying change the way we teach it so that kids have the opportunity opportunity to practice and build skills of resilience, of flexibility, of communication and collaboration. So when we think about bringing in the Portrait of a Nevada Learner, I want you to think about how in the world are you bringing in soft skills into your classroom and giving kids the opportunity to practice and build those skills. Now, the portrait is built on 4 areas. Look at one of them there was C. It's really connect. How do we help kids connect and stay and sustain relationships in our communities? Another great C word there. I'm going to go ahead and throw up in the chat the PDF if you want to go ahead and look at it. But the portrait was built on 4 questions. How can I grow in my learning or empower? How can I connect? We just talked about impact. And how can I thrive? So with those in the portrait, in the PDF, and again, I just showed it up into the chat, is those 4 areas, and it goes a little bit deeper into those 4 areas. So empowering is reflecting and having curiosity, self-awareness, and striving for balance in our life. So that powering, how can I grow, right? More than just a mindset, but also just thinking about my learning about learning. So a little bit of metacognition there. Connecting, great C word, comes with other C words: collaboration, communication, empathy, and respect. Impact comes with how will I, impact or change my society. That's why small groups become really important, because they give the students an opportunity to be critical thinkers. Another great C. Have creative problem solving. Another great C. And have purposeful impact, where they're making civic. Another great C. Engagement. So you notice all those C's in there. And our last one there is thriving, is resilience and courageous, and being intellectually agile, being able to unlearn, being able to communicate and collaborate with others and rethink my thinking, and being a person of integrity. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time talking about how does the Portrait of a Nevada Learner play out in your class. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully you guys had some great conversations. If you had some strategies or some ideas on how you're playing out the Portrait of Nevada Learner, please throw those up in chat. Tommy, thank you for giving students more choices. Lisa, I love it. Kagan strategies, partner discussion, thinking in the classroom. I love it. Love it. Thank you for throwing those up there. Yeah, collaborating. I love that, because it's one of the C's that we're going to be talking about tonight. So awesome. Good stuff. Yes, love it. Turn in talks. Great. My favorite is quiz trade. I love quiz trade. I know it's a low level DOK. You could do it with vocabulary, all kinds of different things. I love what you guys are throwing up there. Choice boards. Woohoo! Hey, I love that. That's another C word and another option that we've been dealing with in our 12 episodes. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the CIA, or the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment of Blended Learning. Some of you have heard me talk about the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 balance. So let's hit that just briefly, because I really want to talk about that 1/3, 1/3 balance as it pertains to DOK levels, or depths of knowledge. So blended personalized learning, I taught high school math for 10 years, so I try to make things simple. And you can see I've got 3 icons up here. I've got a teacher with a heart, because I truly, truly believe that we should never, ever take the caring heart of a teacher out of the classroom. Even though I believe in blended and online learning, there is no way the technology is going to do what you guys do. You have relationships with kids that computers would never, never be able to sustain. But if we can take your wisdom, because you know your standards, you know your kids, you know your classroom pedagogy better than anybody else, and if we added in the adaptability of technology, had you partner with some digital content, partner with some digital tools, we could create personalized learning spaces for each and every individual student. So you can see here in this very simple math equation, the thirds. You see the teacher, you see the technology, and you see the student. So again, those are our thirds. A third of the time, we should think about how can we release the learning to technology. Allow the technology to carry some of the learning. How can we release some of the learning to students? And we've seen a lot over this series of 12, as in playlists, project-based learning, choice boards. Saw that over in the chat earlier, right? A third of the time releasing to our students, so that 2/3, those outside, 1/3 to the computer and 1/3 to the student, 2/3 of the time you are teaching by walking around. Only 1/3 of the time should you be guiding the learning. And that could be direct instruction, Socratic seminars, it could be discussions, it could be small groups. But 2/3 of the time, when we release to technology and we release to our students, we get to do a lot of relationship building and building that heart into teaching by walking around. So when I talk about the CIA, and I told you that, again, my book was called The CIA of Blended Learning, we're talking about using digital curriculum, guiding the instruction, and having authentic assessment in our classroom. And you can see the triple Venn diagram on the right. So what we're looking for, not every day, not every lesson, but over a week or maybe a course of study, you want to have a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 balance so that we're hitting that middle target with a good balance between tech, teacher, and student. So again, here is that triple Venn diagram. DOK, or depth of knowledge 1 and 2, I truly believe that we can release to technology. And if we release that to the technology, and we can do it with Khan Academy, we can do it with ReadWorks, we can do it with Discovery Ed, we can do it with lots of different things. But the nice thing about that is it gives us data. And that data, and if you all remember, we had a whole series on data, that data can help me guide instructions. And it can help me say, oh, you know, the kids really understand this, so we can move a little faster, or whoa, we need to slow down because the kids don't understand this, and I might need to reteach a concept. So when we have that data, we can figure out how to guide that instruction. Can I release more to the students with choice boards and playlists, or do I have to be more direct and maybe some small groups to guide that instruction to get the kids to DOK level 3, a little higher level beyond basic recall, so that then we can extend the learning to a higher orders of 4 and release it to the kids so they can do fun and engaging 4C, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity, and extend into project-based learning, or to extend it into stuff that's really engaging, where students are possibly working with people in the field, like experts in the field, like engineers and scientists, where they can communicate and collaborate with them right here in this digital world that we live in, so that they can show us that they've mastered the curriculum. So again, this diagram is going to become really important, especially as I go through and I talk about and challenge you to think about how you're not only just pulling out the portrait of an adult learner in your classroom, but also how are you engaging kids into deeper thinking and deeper, rigorous, thought-provoking, peer-to-peer engagement. So there is a handout, and it's available. It's in the course. If you want to look at that and spend some time there, I'll throw it up into chat as well, that you can look at, that kind of talks a little bit more about the 1/3. But what I really want to talk about today is I want to go a little bit deeper into DOK, or Deb's Wealth of Knowledge. Now I'm going to give a brief overview here that you guys may have seen Bloom's taxonomy, where you've got the remember and understand on the bottom. That's the stuff I truly believe that we can give away to digital content. We can have Khan Academy, or we could have iReady, or we could have Discovery Education's videos, or stuff that we've even developed video wise, and we can have those deliver ideas and concepts and have kids practice facts and basic skills. We can give that away. But it takes us, it takes you and I, it takes teachers to get those kids to the higher DOKs, or to the higher part of Bloom's taxonomy, more to that strategic and extended thinking, where they're creating and they're analyzing, they're evaluating, and they're justifying, and they're making decisions and having to justify their decisions and producing original work. That's where we want to really start thinking about the 4 C's. How can I get my kids to the top of Bloom's taxonomy, or to DOK level 3 and 4. So let's talk a little bit about DOK level 3 and 4, because what we want to do is not just bring in the 4 C's, but we want to increase the rigor in our classroom. If we're going to take math and science and social studies, and we're going to add in these skills that we want for the portrait of an adult learner, well, I want them to get to an increased rigor. I want them to get to where they can talk using the language of mathematics, using the language of science, of social studies, of English, of music, or marketing, whatever the class that you teach. So we want to think about, how do we increase that depth of knowledge for our students? So when you think about the complexity of thinking, right? Level 1 is recall and reproduction. Level 2 is skills and concept. Level 3 we just saw was strategic thinking, and level 4 is extended thinking. But really, it's just acquisition of knowledge, it's application of knowledge, analysis of knowledge, and augmentation. That's why I love it so, like level 4 is so fun. But I want you to remember that just because it's sequential, 1, 2, 3, 4, doesn't mean that it's sequential. Please know that a kid could do strategic thinking. They can think about something, or be in a small group and think about something, even if they haven't had the opportunity to do recall and reproduction. So, and also keep in mind that the levels are not developmental. So meaning that it may look different in kindergarten, level 1 or 2 is definitely going to be totally different than middle school's level 1 and 2. So it's not developmental. You want to think through that. Not sequential, not developmental. All right, so let's talk briefly about 1. Notice over on the far right there is, again, our CIA curriculum of instruction. I really want you to think about where that 1 is. That 1 is in all 3 levels. DOK level 1 is all about acquiring knowledge, requiring facts, definitions, terms, other basic information. It's about recognizing and following routine procedures and formulas. So basically there is one right answer when we're talking about DOK level 1. They're going to label parts of a cell. They're going to identify the 32 presidents. They're going to recognize, memorize, match. They're going to do things that have one single one answer, and they're moving forward. Now, you know, in today's world, heck, most of this can be Googled. So we don't want to spend a whole lot of time there, but that doesn't mean that we don't want the kids communicating, collaborating, thinking creatively like it. You heard me say I like quiz, trade. That's where I give a bunch of cards with the vocabulary words on them, and each kid has one, and they quiz each other on it. They trade the card, they go find somebody else. DOK level 1, but it's definitely under that student level. Okay, it's mostly on specific facts, definitions, details, procedures, and again, one correct answer. So it's a great way to do that. So now let's talk about DOK level 2. So again, if you're looking at the diagram on the left, notice where DOK level 2 is. DOK level 2 is also found in all 3 levels. All 3 levels. You can guide it, you should release it to the students, and definitely release it to the digital curriculum so you can do some teaching by walking around. This is where they're applying skills. Hey, we told them the formula for finding the perimeter, or you know, they learned about how to find the area of a rectangle. Now they can apply those skills and concepts related to their particular field of study. They're making decisions on how to approach a question or possibly a problem, but there's still one right answer. Now, again, this is why technology is so good at this, because when there's one right answer, then it's easier for it, the technology, or even if you put it as a quiz or something in your Canvas course, to determine if it's right or wrong. So again, it's graphing, interpreting, modifying, predicting, showing results, summarizing, maybe comparing and contrasting. Here's a question for you. It might say, how can the steps of solving a proportion problem be applied to solving a percent increase problem? Or how does a researcher apply the scientific method of experiments? Or maybe, how did the Revolutionary War affect the vote of the first president of the United States? Again, they're taking knowledge that they gained in one and they're applying it. Again, still one right answer, but it's a little, you can see here that the thinking is a little bit deeper, or depth of knowledge. So again, DOK level 2 is in all 3: the computer, the teacher, and as well with the students. So small groups is a great way to do this with groups. So when we think about how do we get our kids to a deeper rigor or deeper level of thought, think about not only beyond 1 and 2, it can be used with our kids as well. But it's a great place to release digital content. Matter of fact, I was just reading one of your guys's classroom implementations. Absolutely loved it. I can't remember who it was. And if it's you, you can put your name in there in chat. They used Edpuzzle. So here's a video. Edpuzzle's great for sticking in videos. And then they have pause points in this video where they quiz kids. One right answer. It's a great way to have individual personalized learning, to engaging software aligned to standards, giving each student an individualized learning place, and we get data back from it. So again, think about when you can release things to digital content, but don't get hung up on the way the instruction is delivered. I don't know about you, when my partners at home don't put the dishes right in the dishwasher, it kind of freaks me out. I want to go in and move things, but I know that if I just leave them there, dishes are going to get clean. Same thing's going to happen with your digital partner. If you let Khan Academy do it, it may not be the way that you do it, but most of your kids are going to learn. If you let iReady teach the kids something, it's okay if it's not the same way that you can reinforce it that way. But please, please think about releasing DOK level 1 and 2 to your digital partner so that you can do that relationship building teaching by walking around. All right, let's get to DOK level 3 and 4. Now, this is where we get off the software. We're not going to be using software to get our kids to DOK level 3, because DOK level 3 is really deep thought analysis. This is where we're asking kids to actually think about sound reasoning with evidence and justification. So I might ask them, explain your thinking. Justify your answer with evidence. And here's where you start getting multiple answers or multiple approaches to solving problems. So this is where look at these great C words: conclude, construct, critique. Oh, love those C words. Cite evidence, compare. Some more great C words. And notice where DOK level 3 is. It's with us, because we can guide the instruction. We can do it as a direct instruction. We can do it as a Socratic seminar, or we can do it as a playlist, or we could set it up as a project. There's lots of different ways that we can guide the students to DOK level 3. Notice some of the focus there. It's on reasoning and planning in order to respond. It's about complex and abstract thinking is required. It's not just, oh yeah, think about that a little bit. No, it's truly required. We want the kids to get to a deeper level. So this is where that 4 C's become really important, because for me, I need a sounding board. I need somebody to bounce ideas off of. And so that I can have bigger and better ideas. 1 + 1 doesn't have to equal 2 when we're working and synergizing together. We can really work together and push those things higher order. And again, multiple answers, when we get to DOK level 4, then that's really where we're really pushing the kids. This is augmentation. So augmentation is where they integrate knowledge from multiple sources. This is a great time where you can start thinking of cross-curricular projects, and they have multiple sources over extended amount of time, oftentimes a project that takes a week or 2 to do, where they're transferring knowledge from one domain to solve problems in another. So they're applying concepts, analyzing, connecting, creating, designing. They're looking for very complex reasoning, planning, and thinking, right? Designing an experience. This is, like I said, great for cross-curricular performance tasks as well as project-based learning. That has multiple answers, multiple approaches, often requiring extended period of times with multiple steps. So you can see how that depth of knowledge gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And over on the right, where's 4? It's only with the students. We can guide it because we can set up a pedagogy using the project, or we can guide it with a playlist, but it's really the path of the student to take. To get to this level, we have to release to the students. We have to give them the opportunity to meet with their peers and really think complex and plan and think together. And you and I know in the real world, not in the 4 walls of our classroom, because we have PLCs, we do that. But oftentimes out in the world where most of these kids are going to work, in the business industry, in the manufacturing industry, there is never going to be a time where very few of them are working by themselves. They're going to have lots of different people that they're going to have to work with, and they're going to have to build those skills of flexibility, leadership, persuasion, all of those skills that we've been talking about in the PLN. And the way to do that is to be able to practice it in your classroom. So I want you to take a moment out, and I want you to think about how you're doing this, how you're releasing to your students through communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity, which is our 4 C's, as well as how are you building skills for the future, that teamwork, that compromising, that persuasion, those things that they need. And the way we can do that, how are you increasing the rigor and the active learning in your classroom? How are you doing that? And while you guys are thinking about how you're doing it, I want you to think about the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. When you release a third of the time to digital content, you have the opportunity to go around and do interventions and help kids. When you release to your students, you have the opportunity to look over their shoulder, see what they're doing, guiding them with new and better probing questions, asking them questions and getting them into deeper and richer thinking. So again, how are you increasing that rigor and active learning? And this goes right back to our first breakout, right? Thinking about how are we doing this? We got to get the kids to a deeper rigor. It's not just communicating. It's not just collaborating. It's at deeper rigor and that active learning in our classrooms. So think through that and think about how you can do that. I'm going to move on because we've got a really cool, fun breakout today that I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to, and we're already at the bottom of the hour. So let's talk about the 4 C's. And I'm going to go through this quickly so we can get that really cool activity, because we've already talked a lot about communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. It actually comes from the P21 framework for the 21st century. It actually, if you think about it, it was late 1900s that the P21 came around and said, what do we need for the next century? And so they had this really cool design that they said, oh, we have to think about life and career skills. Oh, we have to think about information skills. We have to think about, the key subjects and the 3 R's and what does that look like? But the one thing that stuck, the one thing that truly, truly stuck was these 4 C's. And these 4 C's haven't gone away. They're skills that prepare students for an increasingly complex life. And dang, with today's artificial intelligence and virtual realities, you want to talk about a complex world that we live in today. Yes, kids need to know how to communicate, but they also need to know how to figure out if somebody's communicating properly or if they have bias in it, right? This is take it to a deeper level. They need to know how to collaborate, but can we take them to collaborating with people that have more information than they have, using our tech skills and having them write blogs and talk to engineers outside of our classroom? How about creativity and innovation, right? Thinking about designing their own experiments. And you've seen this in the maker spaces. Love them, where the kids are being creative and innovative in those Lego competitions. I read that in one of your guys' classroom implementations. Thank you. Thank you. That was so awesome. And the critical thinking and the problem solving that goes with that. So as we think about the 4 C's and thinking about implementing them into your classroom, I want you to think about, how are you having kids share thoughts, questions, ideas, and solutions at a deeper level? How are you having kids work together to reach a goal, putting their talent and expertise and smarts to work at a deeper level? How are you having them look at problems in new ways and linking learning across disciplines at a deeper level? And how are you having them design and be creative and trying new approaches and innovations and inventing things at a deeper level? Again, think of the DOK and how we can get our kids to a deeper level, not just the 4 C's, but those deeper levels. So when we're thinking about creativity and innovation, right, we're thinking about how they're creative with other people, thinking outside the box, looking at multiple perspectives, trying new approaches. Look at over there on the right: brainstorming, designing, entertaining ideas, improvising, innovating, problem solving, questioning. These are types of ways we can get our kids to deeper level, not just brainstorming, maybe categorizing those brainstorming, maybe comparing and contrasting them, getting them to a deeper level of innovation. Critical thinking, looking at their reasoning effectively. Are they solving problems? Are they comparing, evaluating? Are they making sensible decisions? So again, over on the far right, are you asking kids to analyze, argue, classify, compare and contrast, find cause and effect at a deeper level, define, describe, evaluate, explain at a deeper level, right? Think about multiple correct answers over multiple times, right? Thinking about at a deeper level. Communication. I'm sure we're having kids communicate in our classroom, but we want them to communicate not just with us and not just with their peers, but we want to think about how they're articulating their thoughts. How are they listening? How are they deciphering meaning? Right? Not only the turn and talks and the speaking and the reading, but having them analyze the situation, having them collectively think about what they're thinking about, having them follow conventions and really, getting deep into deciphering meaning, especially in today's AI world. Kids have to understand when you've got fake news sitting out in front of you. That's where we talk about communication and thinking about thoughts and conveying of ideas. Collaboration. Love this one. I'm a big fan of collaboration. Small group, and we're going to go to small group in just a moment. This is where you guys work together, achieve a common goal, and generate some knowledge, right? Brainstorming, decision-making, goal setting, managing time, resolving conflict, great ways to think of allocating resources and responsibilities. So again, the 4 C's, not just at the 4 C's, but I want you to think about a deeper level. All right, we got plenty of time. Are you guys good? Give me a thumbs up if you're good on the 4 C's, because we're going to move into an activity that's going to really hit all 4 C's. Maybe not at the deep level that I would love for us to do, but in your classrooms, please think about how you can do that at a deeper level. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to do this really cool, fun activity. So I'm going to throw this up into the chat. This is called the 4 Icon Challenge. It's going to make you guys really Communicate, collaborate, be creative, and critically think. It's called the icon challenge. So I've taken 4 icons, I put them together. It's supposed to represent a story. There are 3 stories you can see there on the right. You can think through those and think, what story is that first one? What story is that second one? What story is that third one? Well, I'm going to put you guys in your groups and you're going to create your own slides for those stories. What I want you to do is I want you to use the 4 C's: communicate, collaborate, think creatively, and be fun with creativity. Everybody get the slide deck up. You want to make sure you have that slide deck up before I send you off into your work breakout rooms. And what you guys going to do in your breakout rooms, you are going to come up with 4 icons to tell a story. Now, the cool thing about this activity, you guys have to work together, think of a story, and then figure out what 4 icons you want to do that goes there. Now, anybody want to throw up any guess what my stories are there? Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey guys, wasn't that fun? And think about, the communication, collaboration, creative thinking, and all the critical stuff that had to go on in there. Is there somebody out there that's willing to unmic themselves and just kind of talk through how the 4 C's, how this activity really, focused in on the 4 C's?
We had to collaborate for sure and to communicate. We were having problems even getting on the correct slide because somebody else was doing our slide. So we ended up on group 3, even though we're breakout room 4.
We were having trouble. We just instantly had to brainstorm. Like, we had to really just say, let's think of a movie so we could get started. So we worked together really well. And I wasn't that techie. And I asked her if she was techie, and she was great. And she said, well, I'm pretty techie. And we worked together, and she figured out what she was good at. I worked out what I was good at. She threw slides in. I shrunk them, and we did. I don't think we did a great job. I don't know. We'll find out if we did a good job, but we could work together.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is, and that's the thing about small group, right? And what I love interactive slides. Absolutely love to doing interactive slides like this. I just go on the assumption that there's somebody in your group's going to know how to add a picture. Somebody in your group's going to know how to find some icons. I just go on that. I noticed I didn't give you very much directions. What did that do? That took you guys to having to really communicate and collaborate and really go down to those different levels. These are really fun. I love some of these ones you guys have there. You'll notice the first slide there, of course, has my answers down at the bottom. As you go later tonight, you might want to go in and input some of your answers. I love these. Like there's some Willy Wonka here. It looks like Pretty Woman. There's some good ones here. I love this one with Prince. I love it. Good stuff. Absolutely love it, guys. Thank you so much for having some fun with us and thinking about not just, an activity that pulls out the 4 C's, but really pushing them to that deeper level, right? It's pushing them on those skills that the Portrait of a Nevada Learner really wants our kids to do. Flexibility, leadership, persuasion, teamwork, all of those things that we really want to get through. All right. As we are looking at bringing in the 4 C's at a deeper level. That's the key here, guys. Not just the 4 C's, but thinking of a deeper level. Think about how you can use tools to make that happen. Here I use slides, but with those tools to help people to at a deeper level. So you're going to find this slide deck in the Canvas course. In the past, you've seen it as well. So also, another way that I like it, because remember, if we think about that release to the students, it's at 1 to 4. So if you haven't seen Mark Dollinger's playlist of teaching protocols, this is where I got Quiz Trade. Absolutely love it. The other one I love is coaching. It's called the Rally Coach. Absolutely love that one as well. How about 2 or 3, maybe even 5 of these in your back pocket that you can pull out at any given time? Those active student engagements where they're being creative, where they're collaborating, they're taking the learning to a deeper level and owning it. That's the thing that we want. And again, this is in the Canvas course, guys. The key here is getting that curiosity. That's a great C word. So kids are exploring new ideas and they're looking at other people's points of views, because oftentimes we don't get a chance to collaborate with our peers to find out, what, their home life might be different than my home life, or their home language is different than my home language, but we can reason and problem solve together. And that's what's important, and helping them find different ways to solve through problems, just like you guys did on the 4 icon problem. If we had this one before, if you're ready to try a project. This is a great way to get to that deeper level, having a driving question, getting some inquiry and innovation, and really pushing those 21st century, or what we like to call Portrait of a Nevada Learner, or the four C's so that kids can construct and make their own knowledge. So, and you go into the Canvas course. I love John Spencer's launch cycle, great for projects. If you haven't looked at Edu Protocols, I put a couple in there for you guys to look at. The one that I do a lot is Iron Chef. It's a great group for. There's some really good ones there if you haven't done some of those Edu Protocols. Great way to get the kids into that deeper level of thinking. So when you're thinking about the class or thinking about, hey, I want to implement this in my class in the next 3 weeks, think of backwards design. What's the desired result? What's the deep level that you want them to come out of it? And how can you know when they come out of it that they've learned it? So again, what's the big ideas and skills? What's the assessment or the task that I want them to do to prove to me that they've learned that? Then we can think about the task. So when you're going through and you want to do these extra ones, the extra 5 hours of credit, think about exploring actively engaging learning environments, thinking about how you can take them to a higher order of rigor with peer-to-peer interaction. You might want to take an old lesson that remix it and add in some 4Cs to a deeper level. That's a great way to do it. Maybe you did a playlist before. Maybe right now is a great time to try a playlist again. That's what I love about this topic, because there's so many different ways of pulling out the 4Cs in your classroom. So if you're looking for those 5 extended professional hours, go ahead and go through the Canvas course, give you some great ideas on how you can pull this out and implement it into your classroom. So I got a quick question for you. Anybody interested?